On today's episode of Taco Tech Tip Tuesday, we're going to go over some builder tips on how to get the most out of your time on the dyno. So this is a pretty cool JZX90. These are a Japanese import, right-hand drive. And the car I've tuned previously, and it had the factory twin setup. But now we're on a nice big single. It's a Precision 6266. And the customer did a bunch of the install, and after that they had a no start, no run condition. And they seemed to have struggled a while trying to figure out why it wouldn't run. But ultimately what was going on was the crank and cam sensor on this car are located here, and you can't see it, but right down there. And the plugs, because this is an old Japanese harness, the plugs for those are basically just broken. And you know, I talk a lot about what the most important sensor in your car is. You'll hear me say quite frequently what the most important sensor in a car is. And I always say, oh, it's the MAF or it's the map sensor. Well, those are good for input signals, but really the most important sensor for your car is whatever it is that tells the car where the engine position is. So these are the cam and crank sensors, and as you can see, that plug is broken. There's no tabs, and it's full of oil. The other one looks exactly the same. And you can see right there, the wires are they're basically crap. So what I need to do is try to find new cam and crank sensor plugs and rewire these, because I'm gonna get nothing but problems down the road if these don't give me good signals. If you get noise across them, oh, it just broke. It's totally broken now, just by me wiggling at it. Look at that. It is now broken. See? So yeah, we have to fix that. I was going to fix it, now I have to fix it. So you gotta make sure that that all of the signals that are critical are functioning, and cam and crank sensor are the most critical, because without it, the car doesn't even know that it's running. And if it doesn't know it's running, it can't look at any of its other sensors to decide how much fuel to inject or what kind of ignition timing to give it. So luckily I work in an automotive graveyard of old school Japanese performance stuff, and I was able to find a plug and I soldered it in. You can see the solder joints there. Used good premium quality heat shrink. It's kind of soldering on old wires is a little tricky, and there's a lot of people that will argue which direction is better, to crimp or to solder. I prefer crimping, but to crimp you want to have good clean wire, and when you have dirty nasty wire, I prefer to solder because I can flux it, which cleans the wire as you solder it. So if you're crimping and you have corrosion already in the wire, it's just going to corrode further. So in this situation, soldering is definitely preferred, in my opinion. But it runs, so it obviously worked. This car features a megasquirt engine management system tucked away in the glove box. And while it's not my favorite, it gets the job done for the most part. So anytime you have an engine management system that allows for adjustable timing, or even on a stock OEM computer that has an adjustable distributor, you want to make sure that the timing, the base timing is correct. So I have my timing light here. This is a pretty fancy one. The snap-on light, I'm not sure if you can see that. This is a coil-on plug setup. So it's a little bit weird what you have to select on here. So we're going to go ahead and select conventional, and then we're going to select one cylinder, because we're only reading off of one cylinder, and we should get a good RPM signal here. So the RPM reads correct. It's 979. That's about where we're at. And we want to check, and I've got the base timing set on the computer at 15 degrees. So on the gun here, we're going to change this to 15, where it says advanced. Alright, now we're going to see if we can see. So I've got a good mark on you can see the mark down there. I'm not sure if it looks like it's blinking for you, but you can see the mark is right at the 0. So we have the base timing set. Now if that was off a degree or so, like this, see now we're off a little bit. I made it off by changing it here. But you can see if we're off, what we'd have to do is go into the settings on the megasquirt itself. This one has a megasquirt, but on the whatever engine management you're running, and change the base timing sync to get it right on. And what that does is it allows us to have correct ignition timing. Because without it, whatever numbers you put in aren't actually the numbers you're getting out. So now we get to play chase the pipes that are gonna fall off game. I thought it was gonna be this one, that's why I put the camera on it. It's a Spectre coupler, it's non-reinforced. Could be curious to review the video and see if it swells. I've seen these, like, and that was only, I think 12 pounds of boost on that run. I've seen these at like 20 pounds just start to billow up like a big balloon. But yeah, this one came off, so I'm gonna have to pull all these off, see what's going on there, if there's a bead rolled in it or not, and go from there. That one's like broken. The clamp is sure. This is reason number 674 why I don't like T-bolt clamps. I'm sure someone will thumbs down me for saying that. Every time I mention T-bolt clamps, I get a thumbs down, so whatever. Show you what happened here. It's pretty cool. So you see this guy used every different size. We got an 8 and a 7 and 11 and 10. If only he'd found something 9mm, we could have just used the whole set. Got this pipe. Well, I'll probably get this off now. Show you what's going on. It's split open because T-bolts suck. Oh, it's even broken there. Stop using these. They just don't work. They don't last. They just cause problems and headaches. Next thing that's unacceptable, charge pipe, trying to make 20 plus pounds of boost, needs to have a bead rolled in the end. So I'm gonna go roll a bead in the end. This side I can't roll a bead in because it's how they welded it. Yay, fab. So I'm gonna go get this fixed up and get back to tuning. It's pretty cool tool. It's by a company called Trick Tools. Takes a minute to roll stainless beads. But doesn't unless I do that. Gotta have some force on the stainless ones, so. You have a bead rolled in the end. This side I'm not going to really be able to do because of how close they welded to the edge. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to try to roll it just around the other half. But it's not going to work so well. I might just actually have to weld something. I'll figure it out though. Alright, as I've stated many times, pipe prep is extremely important. So we got rid of that Spectre coupler. I'm not going to run that. Just going to use some brake parts cleaner on a rag. I'm not going to spray it near the car because sometimes it does an ill effect on paint and headlights. So you don't really want to get it on those. But we're going to try to clean all the surfaces where we're going to be clamping. I got rid of that stupid Spectre coupler. We got a nice silicone coupler, should work good. Just a little bit more. Alright. Now we also want to clean the inside. This was the coupler that came off the turbo. You can see inside there it's all greasy. It's not gonna want to stay on. And this is the one that popped off officially. I don't really like this coupler, but it'll work. It's just kind of old and worn. But hopefully, if we prep it right, it should be good. I got beads rolled in the other pipes, so all right, we got good prep there. That's clean. This is clean. Then we go grab the pipe. Here's the bead I rolled on that side, and then on this side I was able to roll a bead just kind of around the back half, and I tried to kind of grind a little bit of the old welding bead off so that it has more of a uniform. See, there's the welding bead on the inside that we'll try to kind of grab. We're grabbing at an angle, which is never ideal. Might have to take this over to fab and actually extend it a little bit and then try to figure something out. But this comes off right here. It's supposed to go like that, but I don't, or maybe it went, no, it went like this. But man, this just doesn't, it's not a good fit. But what I'm gonna do, use the old Aqua Net. We're gonna spray it on the end of this pipe. Now our pipe's all goopy. Now the coupler is going to slide right on. Same thing, I'm going to spray it on the inside here instead of on that pipe, just because it's going to be hard to get down there. This will let us kind of adjust things as we're putting it on. In fact, I'm going to spray this end. Go ahead and get this coupler on there. That's not terribly tight either, so hopefully I can clamp it down good enough. But now, because that's in there, these will just kind of move around for me while I try to put them in place and get all these pipes lined up in some configuration where they'll hopefully work. I'm gonna go grab a tool. Sometimes you need a hooker. You don't use the tip of it, use the back. And just kind of like work it around there. Bob's your uncle, it's in. Let's see if we can clock that a little bit better. All the way out. That's another nice thing about these clamps, is they're just easier to work with. Start with my finger. Feel for where the edge of that is. I want to come down all the way to it, so I can feel the lip. I can feel the bead right inside there. Good and tight. You want the whole clamp to the inside of the bead, so that the bead is right here on the clamp. So the clamp is actually at a lower level. If you felt that with your finger, this raises up, and it's not because this is squishing the silicone so much, as it just, this is now smaller than the bead. So as it pulls out on it, it can't pull that clamp, and you'd have to pull the silicone like up and down and back around, and it's just not a way that it's going to want to slide. And this is why they don't come undone. So with less clamping force, you get more force on the actual joint. And that's where a T-bolt clamp doesn't work as well, and I'll show you that here in 1 second, once I get this started. I'll have to go grab a bigger clamp for this one, but we can get it started on there. Feel for my bead. This is a funny one. I want it to go into this a little bit more. There we go. Alright, now I can feel the bead. And I want the whole coupler, I want the clamp completely in the coupler. Feeling for the bead, it's way in there, so we're good. Alright, so we got our pipe fixed, and let's do a pull and see if we get our boost back. we ended up having some issues with the cam and crank sync. So basically it cuts out at like 6200 pretty much every single pull. It's like a hard cut, and I have a sync error when it happens. So I need to go after some trigger stuff, but being as the plugs were kind of janky, I'm not surprised. But pretty good power, 460 wheel horse, 420 foot-pounds, only revving to 6100 and still on its way up. I'm guessing if we could rev out to 7,000 or so, we'd probably be closer to 500, which at 21-ish pounds, 22, be all right for this setup.